Okay, we're joined now by Ivor Lyons and Carla de Urrutia from Alt Dairy. We're going to find out a little bit about the company and their mission and also themselves. So Ivor, Carla, could we start off by finding out a little bit about your journeys into food tech? I know there was a previous company before Dairy.
Just quickly then, what happened? So Jumping Juice Limited's been running since 2003, still runs. It's a purveyor of fruits and vegetables to the juicing industry and smoothie production. And we've been running factories over the years and helping juice bar chains and running our own stores. Previously to that, went to catering college at 16 because my mum said, "What are you going to do?" And I went, "What do you mean do?" So she sent me off to catering college. And then, so that all started early on. Worked at lots of top London restaurants and not so top London restaurants. And then went traveling for 5 years, became a bit yogic in the travels and came back vegetarian at the age of, I think it was around 24. And then saw Juice Barn, said, "I want to do that." And it all started from there. All these years later, 4.5 years ago, we looked at a project for alternative dairy in the UK market because we're supplying some companies with some purees and organic fruits, and they were asking for large size packs of alternative dairy, which wasn't available in the UK market. So with our experience, we said, okay, if it's not available, we'll find it. We couldn't find it. So then we said, we'll set up and do production. So we set up a production facility and been running that for 4.5 years. And that was it. It went live. And it is alive when you're doing production. It's like a live animal. It's alive, Frankenstein. So been doing that. And then now as we're scaling, we're working with different partners for scaling the product. It's going very well. And we're very happy.
Great. And Carla?
Yeah, I studied business management a few years ago already. Then moved to London. I did my master's in tourism. I've worked all my life in hospitality, so quite involved in restaurants, operations, and this type of sector. And then I met Ivor, and we started working together since then. It's been like already 6 years. We were involved in another food production projects, like we were doing a ginger shot brand and stuff like that. And then we got involved in All Dairy. And since then, we've been working together, as he said, 4.5 years. We have our facility in North London, and also now growing up, making partnerships with other facilities as well to grow the business.
Okay, and it's a B2B company?
B2B.
You're not actually producing a milk you're not producing a milk that's on the shelves, are you? It's strictly to the food service sector.
Correct. It's business to business. Yeah, that's our focus.
Okay. Now, considering the shift towards plant-based diets, how do you see your company playing a pivotal role in shaping the future of the food industry?
I'll go. Shall I answer that one, Carla?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to do with supply and demand. And as I said, we were in Belgium a couple of days ago discussing this very point. And in the UK market, there's a identification of over 30% of people who say they're intolerant to dairy. So that's not vegan, it's not plant-based and vegetarian. It's people who say they're intolerant to dairy or believe it, whether they're actually being tested or not. So that's a huge sector of the market. And that's statistics that we go. And also even over 20% see themselves as some type of gluten intolerant. This whole free-from industry sits alongside the plant-based and the vegan market. And it's growing and it's enormous. And us as a large-scale purveyor of alternative dairy, we supply that product to B2B wholesale and to food manufacturing who require these specialized products, nut-based predominantly, milks in large formats, large unit sizes, which is not available. So that's where we're sitting, and we're getting quite a lot of demand, and we're able to fulfill. So it's going well. We're happy, and I think that's what's going to be growing. And also, there's statistics which Carla sent the other day about this Gen. You can say that about what the Gen Zs.
I agree with Ivor. So like the demand is growing like so much that at the end of the day, companies are pushed, whether they like it or not, to offer plant-based products, alternatives of what they are offering. Non-dairy. And basically Gen Z, statistics says that they will be 50% of them, or this generation, will be meat-free by 2025, which is in a year and a half. So this is the new generation of consumers. They are consuming already, but those are the ones who will be consuming for the next 60 years. So
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I just jump in there. Also, we're working with food service providers, large, who tens of thousands of units, and they're saying that products like ice cream, for example, they'd prefer to go with a dairy-free formulation because of the zero allergens.
Yeah.
As long as the taste profile, flavor profile is the same, they're happy to switch to that because basically then they don't have any allergy risk for people who are consuming it. This allergen,
liability as well.
yeah, exactly, and it's just they're free,
they cover all the
like
market with one product, which is allergen-free, dairy-free.
In that case, it is an oat-based product rather than a nut-based product, which once again is allergen-free. Yeah, interesting, right? When these are predominantly people serving 80% of meat-based products on their menu, but they're happy to switch over because of allergen requirements.
In light of the number of brands entering the plant-based market, how do you guys provide unique support and resources to help your customers succeed?
In terms of the products that they ask for?
Yeah, I guess so. The product and
jump in there?
service as well.
Yeah, go on.
We're not a brand. We're an ingredient supplier. We want these people to enter the market. We want to support them because we're the ones who are able to support them with volume alternative dairy ingredients. So the more the merrier. Obviously, it's not so much new brands for entering the market. It's the shift in existing food service supermarket chains demanding change and then pushing back on the contract manufacturing industry saying we need this allergen-free alternative dairy ingredient product, and they come to us because we can supply them in the volumes they need, and we're quite established in the marketplace for that. So the new brands obviously try and get their product out there, but it's really the existing market is that it's reacting to these large alternative dairy intolerance demands from the customer. So that's the big section.
And cost efficiency is obviously a major concern for many businesses, especially in the hospitality sector. So how do you offer competitive pricing without compromising on quality?
Yeah, I would say that one of our great points is like the large packaging that we are offering and also like the concentration of our products. So it's high concentrate between 20-50%. So obviously this is much more cost efficient in terms of transport, storage, and even like packaging. So this is one of the points that I would say is...
You're not transporting, what Carla's saying, you're not transporting water around with concentration.
Exactly.
So if somebody needs to have, let's say, 6% cashew in a product, we'll send them in at 28% concentrate. So then they just add water on the point of production, which is... And also because it's got UHT, for example, you've got long shelf life. So it doesn't take up a lot of space in storage. And also you also got a secure supply chain because it's got a long shelf life. So any wobbles in the food supply chain market, you don't have to worry because it's stable. Everything's stable.
I also would say even labor, because one of our customers, I remember a conversation with them saying like how much labor cost they saved compared, because previously they were like using 1 liter Tetra Pak. So imagine when they use big volumes of whatever ingredient they're using, cashew milk or oat milk, compare 1 liter Tetra Pak with our big bags. So literally in labor costs, they also save. That was one of the conversations with one of our customers.
Offering those larger packs certainly seems to be a key USP for you guys. Now,
and concentration. And if they're taking a 5%, for example, milk, and they're opening a Tetra Pak versus a 50%, 250 litre, it's probably they're saving like 100 times more staff saving just from the emptying of that's a lot production.
We'll talk about the UHT a bit later, but as consumers are becoming more health conscious, we talked about that before we went on air. How are you addressing the demand for nutritious alternatives? What specific health benefits do your products offer?
The health benefits of our products, they are like quite basic alternative dairy. So like oat milk or cashew milk. So the nutritional value is what it is than the regular one, to be honest. It's not
Mhm.
that we are adding any nutritional factors added.
Yeah, it's the same with the pistachio that we're doing as well. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any advancement in nutrition. Obviously, once again, if you're taking dairy out of the equation and someone has a dairy intolerance or dairy is high in fat and they're having a better experience, especially if they have an undiagnosed intolerance, they may be getting some inflammation or some issues on a product because what we found is that very few places do dairy intolerance testing. I don't know about yourself, but I've never been tested for dairy intolerance. I've just decided not to consume it for 11 years. And the average person, if they go into a supermarket, they won't be tested. So there's a lot of unknown. There's a huge percentage of people who are dairy
Mm.
intolerant because obviously dairy is designed for weaning for the weaning process only in mammals. So yeah, straight away people are going to have a better experience, a conscious or unconscious experience from consuming an alternative dairy product.
I also would add, like, we have the ability to do like bespoke recipes as well. So let's say one of our customers would like to add, I don't know, vitamins or like protein or whatever. We can do that, but obviously the main alternative dairies is the nutritional value is what it is, like oatmeal, like the same as any oatmeal in the supermarket.
Ivor, with 11 years without dairy, I'm just curious as to what benefits you've seen from a personal point of view. Sell me.
It's 13 years vegetarian before that. So
Yeah.
I went vegetarian and I didn't notice. So I went vegetarian at 24 and I did that for 13 years. I didn't notice any difference. My weight was the same. I suffered a lot of like colds or mucus as a child, a lot. And when I was vegetarian for those 13 years, I didn't notice any difference. Then I went vegan for a month, right, to try it. And I noticed immediately weight loss just fell away from me, just not a huge amount, but kilos. And I don't get any mucus build up and I don't get colds and I haven't since going vegan very rarely. That's what I noticed, right, as soon as I took dairy out of my diet. And that's just from my personal experience and an enormous wellness benefit for myself. So that's just me.
That's great. And in terms of the production process for you guys, how are you staying ahead of emerging trends such as functional ingredients or
Ooh.
processing techniques?
I would, in my experience, what we do a lot is like market research. Really, we are always
Hmm.
like reading all these reports from the market or trends, going to trade shows. Like we like to be involved in the new information that it's coming.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. But also we are ahead of the curve anyway.
Yeah,
So basically, we've been established for quite a long time. So as the mainstream market's just clicking, the big food service providers are going, right, we need this alternative in large format. We're there. We've got it
yeah.
available to them. They're speaking to us and we can turn it around quick. We've got great NPD department and technical department. So we're just luckily that we started early and predicted the market. So we're just supporting people in their transition.
Hmm. And in terms of volume, you don't have to answer this, but how much are you actually moving in terms of all those? You don't have to give us a breakdown of all the various different types of products, but
Yeah, volumes, truckloads. It's a staple. Dairy's a staple. And when someone changes and they see the demand in their product increasing, they press the button and say, give us some more. And it's volume. It's a volume
mhm,
game we're in. And then
yeah.
we keep our margins very tight because obviously when there's a move over to alternative dairy versus dairy can be quite economical in certain formats. So we have to, we're economical and the volumes we're producing means we can try and price match. Never
Hmm.
quite get there, but we get very close.
Hmm.
Depends on the concentration. But once again, we save a lot, they save a lot of money on the concentration with us. Whereas
Yeah,
normally on straight, traditional dairy, you don't get a concentrated product. Doesn't work.
yeah. Well, I guess your sector's not subsidized either.
I've got someone. Oh, imagine somebody giving us money. That would be nice. No, not at all. I've never even heard that word. Subsidized. No, there's no one out there doing that. There will be a time. There will be a time where it'll be legislation.
Hmm.
There will be we think, but it could be 50 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just time to catch up. And now, in terms of you as a company, where are you supplying to at the moment? Is it largely UK based? And if it is, what are your plans for expanding into other regions and international markets?
Yeah, at the moment we are like UK focused, but we have the potentiality to actually supply to other countries in Europe if there is a need.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was Belgium 2 days ago. It's a big
Yeah,
contract, and yeah, they've done lots of product testing with it, and they love it. It's really working. So yeah, that's gonna start. So we can supply into Europe, and we as easy as we can supply into the UK. Brexit doesn't really affect us too much because there's not a lot of paperwork because it's plant based.
Hmm. And of the products that you've got, you've mentioned pistachio and cashew and oats. What's the most popular among those?
Oat,
Oats, because of those allergen
oat,
reasons.
oats and cashew are both very big for us.
Mhm.
We're doing some NPD with some other like pistachio, but really it's those two big lines which we're focused on. The cashew also goes in for alternative dairy cheeses as well,
Mhm.
cheese sauces, and works
creams
very
as
well for
well.
that. Ice creams, yeah.
Mhm. And obviously, you've been doing this for quite a while, Ivor and Carla. How are you seeing the demographics changing in recent years in terms of the demand, the consumer demand for these types of products?
As we were mentioned before, I think it's increasing like constantly.
Mhm.
Few reasons for that, obviously, health concerns. A lot of people are every time more concerned about their health, and obviously plant-based is a healthier diet than meat-based diet. Also, like affordability. I was reading recently, Lidl has matched their prices of plant-based, the range, which is Bimondo, I think it's called, yeah, Bimondo, to the same price as the meat one. So this is obviously encouraging demand as well to do the change to plant-based diet, or at least products. You don't have to be 100%, but at least to be able to buy more of those products. So yeah, I think there is few factors that push the demand to grow.
Mhm.
Yeah, in the retail sector, you've got conflict of interest in the supermarket. So because you've got brands competing with other brands and all that communication that's going in to the purchasing departments or the supermarkets. But with food manufacturing and food service, you don't have that brand issue. So basically, they're just responding to customer demand.
Mhm.
Exactly.
There's no brand demand. So they're the ones converting, we find, well, quicker because they're just able to make the decisions on their own. The customer says, we want less allergens, and therefore the way to do it is take dairy out of the equation. Or with meat, you don't have so many like meat allergen issues. With that, it's more of a desire to be healthier. Or,
Mhm.
but with the dairy, it's just driven by allergen. It's anything, as you know, in the last 10 years, this focus in food service for the listing of allergen. As soon as you can take an allergen out of a product, they want it.
Mhm.
So that's where, so they're looking for alternative dairy
I'm
for,
not sure if you
as option.
I'm not sure if you'd know this either, but of the total alternative dairy market in the UK, what proportion of that is to the food service sector and versus bought on the shelf by normal consumers?
Goodness, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Because obviously the scale of supermarket is just mind-boggling. You can't even imagine it. It's like how many grains of sand on a beach.
Hmm.
It's just,
Yeah.
so you got all the main 500 Lidls and 1,000 Aldis and 700 Tesco. You can't even comprehend it. We supply product into brands that go into supermarkets, and yeah, it kits heavily. So
White
say
label service, is that right? Is
we
that what
we're
it's
an
called now?
ingredient supplier.
Yeah.
We're ingredients. It's not white label because they're not putting their name on anything. We're just selling stuff in large formats for food
Mhm.
manufacturers.
You mentioned before that you can tailor and customize formulations. Have you actually got an example of how you've done that for a customer and the benefits or the application for that particular instance?
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I'll chance this, Carla. So,
Yeah, yeah.
we basically had to increase the concentration on an oat compound and reduce some density and also some sugars in it as well, because they want it specifically because they were trying to mimic another brand out there. So basically, they weren't doing those MBDs. So we had to go backwards and forwards with trials to get it right, lowering the sugar content, which happened for reducing the time of pasteurization. Yeah. Yeah, there's also we can add any ingredient to it, but normally what happens is the base ingredient that goes into the manufacturer and they add the ingredients themselves. But if we
Mhm.
needed to make a alternative dairy cheese sauce, for example, we can do that, but obviously we'd need the recipe related to it, and because it's different when you're doing it in large volume production, it doesn't always replicate over. So yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, the oat product went backwards and forwards quite a lot, but we got it
Mhm.
in the end. It worked.
Now, compared to other processing methods, what are the key benefits of using UHT? I know you touched on it before, but does it contribute to areas such as quality and safety?
Yeah. I would say the
Mm.
first one would be it extends the shelf life quite a lot. So this is
Mhm.
always a key point. It's microbiologically more safer than other systems. Mm, I would say those are the main two.
Yeah, I agree with Carla. What it does, it's probably 5 times safer than normal.
Hmm.
Because obviously, if you're doing anything, especially if you want to extend the shelf life, we always work into much higher standards of food safety than are required, normally like 4 or 5 times more.
Mhm.
So it just, if you can heat something, not UHT is slightly different. Sometimes it's more of a high temperature pasteurization process rather than a full blown UHT. So you're getting it hot, but you're doing it for different periods of time. So
Mhm.
sometimes UHT is a flash pasteurization, which can, like in a few seconds, will tend to hold it at a slightly lower temperature than UHT, ultra high temperature. We'll bring it to lower, but we'll do it longer.
Mhm.
So it keeps any less damage to the product, but also you get that very stable shelf life, and it works.
Mhm.
It depends how we want to do it.
Now, obviously, you've been following the market for a lot longer than most people. Ivor, how do you see it evolving in the UK and globally, and what sort of challenges and opportunities do you anticipate?
Good question. What's the future?
Mhm.
Let me just look at the crystal ball. 1 second. In the Asian market, they don't have dairy. This enormous swathe of the world is dairy free. And they always say these are the green zones. The health benefits are substantial. These areas, these zones in the world. So people are waking up to that, as well as climate change and environmental issues. So fashion takes time. What on the catwalk takes a long time before it's in Primark.
Mhm.
But it comes. And so basically what's happening is it's filtering through that people have the understanding the wellness benefits from being without dairy
Yeah.
and the climate effects of our friends, the cows and all the soy production. That's just all this information is filtering through, and people are starting to make large swathing decisions, which are the food services and supermarkets are pushing back more on the supermarket, but food services are just adopting very quickly. Even something like Wagamama, they're a 50-50% plant-based menu. They
Mhm.
adopted that early on. And I think there will be eventually some legislation come through, which people say the legislation said you have to reduce animal agriculture because of this, that, and the other. And then that's going to be a big shift. It will happen quite quick.
Mhm.
So I think there'll be some government legislations in some countries of the world, and then there you go.
Probably, probably in a similar way to the legislation
Smoking
for
bans
gasoline vehicles.
or
Not
Yeah.
smoking
smoking,
ban.
yeah.
If you look at the smoking ban in Ireland, was the first country to adopt the smoking ban in Europe.
Mhm.
Ireland with all the pubs. Oh, it was never going to happen. And it happened like that legislation, and it went. Phew. Who would have thought it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with Ivor. I think legislation will be one of the big key points in the near future, hopefully.
Mhm.
It has to.
On a similar theme, actually, to legislation, in terms of the regulatory landscape, are there any challenges for your products particularly? Does it probably has a much easier deal than some of the other novel foods?
Much easier because we're not injecting animals with any antibiotics. It's not like there's a farm of things who are eating, sleeping, going to the toilet. Where these are oats or seeds or nuts, which obviously organic versus conventional, there's a part to play, but we've been organically certified for going on 18 years now. So, but yeah, it's much easier because it's plant-based. It's just lower regulations requirement because it's less dangerous.
Mhm.
It's less
And
risk to human health.
are there any emerging trends in ingredients or technologies and alt dairy development that you're aware of that you might incorporate in the future into your processes that might
Do you
be
want to share the
important?
secrets, Carla? Do you want to tell him the secrets?
People are
Yeah,
talking
well,
about
I
precision
would say
fermentation, and
in terms of ingredients for
let's start with
plant-based,
ingredients, and then we'll go with
yeah,
technologies.
I yes, I would say like there is like few companies now innovating with like quinoa, like these kind of trendy ingredients and making milk out of it. Like a
Mhm.
little bit surprising, some of them, but they could work. Some of them will not, but some of others, I think they will be future trends and ingredients in the market, which is good. We saw, I think we went last year to one of the trade shows and we saw the macadamia one, that American company that was introducing macadamia milk to Europe as well, which is like quite premium, and it was
Mhm.
delicious actually.
What are some of the most recent or innovative product launches in the alt dairy market that have caught your attention? They could be technologies, or they could even be ingredients.
Yes, in terms of ingredients, I think that there are a few companies that they are trying or innovating with different, for example, quinoa milk, or like recently in one of the trade shows we saw the macadamia milk as well.
Mhm.
So those are, yeah, using different ingredients to make alternative dairy. That's one of
Yeah.
the
Also,
big.
seed milks are very popular because they're quite economical and you get a very good fat content from seed milks
Mhm.
and a nice frothing as a barrister solution for coffee usage, as well as casein development, a alternative to the meat industry or dairy industry with casein. Casein's the addictive hormone in dairy milk. So that's been brought to market, but it still hasn't really hit us yet. We haven't been able to get hold of
Yeah,
it.
it's not
So
in
if any,
it's not in Europe yet.
so if anybody's got any, please contact us. We want casein. We want to chuck
Buy
it in, pour it
buy the
in.
buy the truckload.
Well, hopefully, I don't know. It could be expensive. Maybe you don't need very much, like bacterial ingredients used for alternative cheese making, but we want it. We want it. If anyone's got it, please,
Yeah,
please contact
definitely.
us.
I've got a couple of questions left, Carla and Ivor. I'm just wondering, this particular segment that you're in, is it quite competitive? Are there lots of companies doing what you're doing? And if so, how are you standing out in terms of your offering? I know that you offer that larger pack size, and that's important, but what other ways are you guys standing out from the competition?
Not a lot of people are doing what we do.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I was gonna say
Yeah, yeah, it's very
that's why
specialized
we are
and
ahead of the curve, as Ivor was saying before. We started a few years ago already. So I think this is one of our advantages, that we are a little bit ahead.
Mhm.
picked up lead customers, carried on for years, and supply chain's bouncy. It's somebody orders, they want it delivered. So we've maintained that supply chain stable and that's proven a lot to our customers and they trust us with their brands because it is their brands. It's main ingredients going into their brand. So if they order, it's available. Some of it's just in time and we're there. So we've got quite a good standing in the marketplace, we hope.
Mhm. And in terms of supply chain, you launched the company, what, 4.5 years ago? So that was just about the same time as COVID. So how did you survive all of that?
We were setting up at that time, and yeah, like the demand for products in the supermarket was not decreasing at all. So we were
Mhm.
supplying to companies that they were doing an end product for the supermarket. So to be honest, it was okay for us.
Yeah. Well, the wholesale market didn't wobble whatsoever during COVID. The retail did, the end chain did, but the wholesale and supply chain was steady as anything. Nothing changed. If anything, it was more focused. So COVID didn't really affect us. As you say, there was an increase in demand for the retail customers.
Mhm. And one final question: what can we expect to hear about next from you guys? What can you spill the beans on?
Mm. There's some big launches coming up.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
Mainly food service focused. We've been working for quite a few years with food service providers and the supply chain wholesale, and they need volume of particular products for just the restaurant chains, and we've developed them and getting sign-offs for rolling out, and that's fine. It's just we've got the ingredients, it's going into the contract manufacturers, everybody wants it, getting signed off, and off they go, and it's stable, but it's quite big volume stuff, mainly in the dessert sector, as well as sauces for main courses, cheese-based, alternative cheese sauces. So, but yeah.
We'll watch the space. We'll keep in close contact and report on those as they happen. Ivor, Carla, thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful chatting with you, and yeah, hope
Thank
to
you.
meet you in person one day.
Yes, hopefully.
Yes,
Thanks for
lunch will
having
be
us.
delicious.